Hello? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna try to do these lives every great, awesome. Just want to make sure because sometimes this microphone can act funny. Can you guys hear a dog barking, by the way? Just let me know. Wait, you can hear a dog barking? I hope not. I am not a history major. Oh, look who jumped in to say hi. A cat just jumped right on the desk, but now she's gone. I am not a history major. I'm actually not a major in anything. I never went to college. Never went to college. Never. When I got out of high school, my believe it or not, my brother actually went to trade school, went to construction school, and then when I got out of high school, we began to build our first house, and that was for my grandmother. So we built a home for my grandmother, and then we started doing fixer-uppers. So we started getting foreclosures and started fixing them up and selling them. And then years later, in 2014, I purchased my first home. And it was supposed to be a fixer-upper that we were going to sell. Well, it was supposed to be a home for me to live in, but it's kind of a long story as to why I didn't live in it. And we thought about selling it maybe, but we were like, let's put it for rent. So that was the first time we did a rental, and we put that home for rent, and yeah, just went on from there. Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Joshua. I do try to read and educate myself. Have you guys ever looked into? I have a cat that wants to get out of the room. She's going to start making noise. Don't start. Don't. Oh, she's black. She don't care. She's a black cat. Black cats matter. She got an attitude. Got 5 people on right now. I guess I should tell people when I'm going to come on, maybe like 30 minutes before. I guess I should let people know. You hate cats. Oh, I don't hate cats. Doris, are you being serious? Or are you being sarcastic? It's a party now, Rusty, with you and... Oh, black cats are really good. Hold on. She wants to get out. Come on. Hello, Katarzina. Is that how you pronounce her name? Thank you, Hess. Yeah, I got a haircut. No worries, Emmanuel. Take your time. Got 7 people on. This is a party now. This is a get together. Katarzina. How do you pronounce her name? Katarzina? Katarzina. I don't know how to pronounce Polish names. Polish names are the most difficult names in the world to pronounce because they got like Z's and C's, and what's the point of it all, But yet again, we find this sort of thing in the English language. We have spelling in English language that does not match the pronunciation. Like the word through has a G and an H in it. What's the point of it? It has a U in it too. THROUGA. What's the point of the G and the H? Why don't we just say OO? Like, just give it a double O. It'll make more sense. And I thought about this actually for a while, and I came to the realization as to why this is the way it is. And I think it's because the pronunciation of words evolves over time. It changes over time. So as we as the culture changes, as people naturally change, not biologically, but people change culturally, psychologically, people change. The way that we talk changes. Technology also has a lot to do with that. The more technologically advanced we become, the more the more different we begin to speak. And so we start to speak slower, or at times we begin to speak faster. And so we don't pronounce all of the letters of a word. We do this all the time. This is the natural life of language. Like the word going, am I going somewhere? We just say gonna now. Like most of the time we're saying gonna, like we're gonna go here, we're gonna go there. Oh, very, very rarely do you hear somebody say, well, we're going to this place. We just say gonna. So words, the pronunciation of words changes over time. And we see this every decade. Every decade, the language has slight alterations, slight changes, slight abbreviations, and things like that. But it would still be considered wrong to spell going as Gonna, right? We still say Going. We don't say Gonna, although that may change. And I think the word through, just to use one example from the English language, used to be pronounced as through, right? It probably was something like that. People used to pronounce the G and the H. The English language used to have, well, in Great Britain at least, it used to be for the most part, the use of the back of the throat, the huh. And now in England, they don't do that, right? But if you go to northern England, they do that still. In Scotland, they do this. But in the rest of the English-speaking world, they don't do this. Only in Scotland and northern England do they have the huh, the through. The more north you go, the more huh there is. So it probably was through, like the word fight. How come it's not spelled F-I-T-E? How come we have the F-I-G-H-T? Because it was probably, the G and the H probably was pronounced. Probably was something like ficht, fight. I'm going to fight you. Fight you. So it was something like that. The English people originally came from like the Netherlands, Denmark, Germany. The Anglo-Saxons, they came from Denmark. They came from the Netherlands. And when you go to the Netherlands today, they still have the hua, 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 hua. That carried on into the British Isles, but it died out for the most part unless you go to Scotland. So that's my theory. I've never really studied the English language in an in-depth manner, but just seeing how languages naturally evolve, you can see how they evolved in the past. Ugh, my brain is frying right now. Okay, got some comments here. Johan, what's this guy's name? Jonathan C. says, Ted, I used to think Switzerland was a good and neutral country, but not anymore. As the saying, they are involved in nothing because they control everything. Switzerland banks control money. Yeah. Well, it's like this idea, I remember when I was in school in junior high, we had a teacher that taught us that Switzerland was neutral during the Second World War. And everybody says that, right? Switzerland was neutral, didn't do anything wrong. Well, it wasn't really neutral. Swiss banks were getting help with the Nazis. They got all that Nazi money. Oh, yeah, they were neutral, but they didn't mind all that Nazi money. Hello, Adil. Kasia. Pronounced Kasha. So hold on. I'm trying. So Katarzyna. So Kasha is spelled Katarzyna. Like, what? It's like Theodore, and it's actually pronounced Ted. but there's a THEOD. I don't know. Is that really right? Is Kasha the way you pronounce that name, or is that just like an abbreviation of that name? You do not trust Switzerland anymore. Do you live in Switzerland, or are you researching Switzerland? Because Switzerland, to me, it seems like it's not really a country. It's like a big bank. Last time you went live on this channel, I asked y'all to pray for my sister to find her wallet and keys. Oh, nice. They were in her trunk under the spare tire. Down. Hi, man. How are you doing? Hello, Alexander. I'm doing well. Doing okay. Still alive. Since there's 17 of you guys, since there's 17 of you guys here, this is a party. Come on, we got 17 people here. This is a barbecue. So there's several things that I want to talk about, and I'll answer all of your guys' questions. But also at the same time, there's things that I want to get out of my mind. I want to talk to you guys about the slight change that I've made in how I work. And so here it is. Okay. So when I first started blogging, I was in high school. That's when I started YouTubing and blogging when I was a junior in high school. The reason why I began YouTubing and blogging was because I had a lot of thoughts and I had a lot of ideas, but no one's really talked to about. No one's really have a discussion with outside of my family. And I began to blog. So I started writing articles. I'm pretty sure my old blog is still there. It's called the Tedland Daily, like Scotland, but instead of Scott, it's Ted. That was my first blog. It's called the Tedland Daily. Shoebot.com did exist at that time, but Shoebot.com was only being utilized to tell people my father's speaking schedule, my father's speaking agenda. So Waleed Shoebot's going to be speaking at I don't know, the university, UC Davis or something like that. And that's what it was. It was simply a place for people to know where my dad was speaking at next. My father was speaking everywhere in those days, early 2000s, all the way from 2001. I would say my father was in the speaking career from 2001 after 9/11, when everybody wanted to learn about Islam, all the way up to, I would say, 2013, 2014 is when my dad really slowed down on speaking. I would say within 2014, my father really began slowing down. And then we actually did our last speaking engagement. Our last speaking engagement was in 2015. It was in the I want to say in the fall or in the winter of 2015, and it was in Pennsylvania. That's where we did our last speaking gig. It was in Pennsylvania, and then we stopped speaking. And then from there on, we just did internet stuff. We did blogging, YouTube. That's all we did. We did radio interviews here and there, but we just did blogging and vlogging. That's all we did. And I started blogging again. I started blogging and YouTubing when I was in high school, but I was writing articles, putting my ideas out and putting some of my opinions out, and et cetera, et cetera. And then once I got out of high school, I started doing online debates here and there. I still did some articles, but it was very sporadic. I did an article here and there. I had no schedule. I wasn't really working consistently, and I wasn't doing YouTube videos consistently either. I just did a video when I had an idea. I have an idea. Okay, let's do it. In 2013, I started researching the blogging world. I started looking into how other blogs did blogging, how they did their work. And I noticed this thing that bloggers would do. If well-known bloggers, Robert Spencer, The Right Scoop, these are well-known blogs in the conservative American world. And what they do is they take an article, Fox News, CNN, BBC, Reuters, doesn't matter. Take an article that's on something that is trending. It's a big headline. A lot of people are interested in it. Let's say, I don't know, ISIS declares they're going to take over Texas or something. and it's being reported by Fox News. You would take that little story, you would take that article, you would copy and paste, not the whole thing, but you just copy and paste like the first third of the article, where you just get the gist of it. And then you go on your blog, you put a title up that says ISIS declares we're going to take over Texas. El Paso is going to be the first victim. And you make that the title, and then you put a little couple sentences saying ISIS said this, that, here's the report from Fox News. You put the link in order to give credit, and then you copy and paste like the first third of the article on there. Then in the bottom, you may add another opinion like, oh, this is outrageous, whatever, pretend to be outraged. Get a photo that's going to attract a lot of clicks, and you're done. Maybe add a couple of tweets from some intelligence specialist on Twitter to make it seem like you actually put in the effort to do this post, publish it, hit the publish button, put it up on Facebook, put it up on Twitter, and tons of people are going to click on it. That's what a lot of blogs do. The ones who started out in the early days of blogging were very successful because it was something very new, and they're still having relative success with it, even though it's kind of dying out. So I began to do this, I would say at around late 2012, I started doing this method of blogging, and it was very, very effective. Shoebot.com went from getting 3,000 views a day to getting 15,000 views a day. And then I continued doing this strategy of blogging. And then from there, I was getting from 15,000 views, I was getting 20,000. Pretty soon it was 25,000. A little bit time later, maybe some weeks later, all of a sudden I was getting 30,000 views. And this happened very quickly. This happened within a matter of months. And then from there, you're getting 40,000, 45,000, 50,000, 55,000. Pretty soon you're getting 75,000 views a day on average. It came to the point where we were getting, and I'm not exaggerating this at all, we were getting hundreds of thousands of views every single day. Every single day. At least 200,000 views, 240,000 views. It was ridiculous. And then it came to the point, and this was back in 2014 when you had ISIS and El Chapo, 2014 ISIS, and then 2015, and then 2016, you had the whole El Chapo thing. And Trump was running. 2015, Trump started running. And it came to the point we were getting, and I'm not joking, and this didn't last forever, but for a little bit of time, we were getting a million views a day. It was insane. We were beating Front Page Magazine. It was, we were beating a lot of these right-wing websites, these big conservative websites. If we weren't beating them, we were tailing them very closely. And it was amazing. So I would look at the website and say, okay, so far we've gotten 100,000 views today. So far we've gotten 240,000 views. Website's getting enough attention. It's getting enough readership that I can now kind of sit back and work on a long article, work on a well-researched article. And I can take my time on it because I know this website's getting plenty of attention. So I would spend a week on an article. The website would still be getting decent views. I hired a guy to continue doing these little posts every day. So that way the website is still alive. It's still being stimulated, I should say. It's being active. And I can work 1 week, 2 weeks on a piece. Be it a piece on theology, history, philosophy, whatever, politics. And then I would put that article out. And that article would get tons of views because the website already was getting tons of views. And then in 2018, our website got shut down for a month and a half. The people who shut it down were not Google. They were not people on the left. They weren't communists. The people who shut down our website for a month and a half were conservative, right-wing Zionist Jews. 2 of them, to be specific. I don't want to give out any names, but they were people that we knew. One of them was our web designer. One of them, he was not only the web designer guy, but he was also involved in the security for the website. He didn't like my views. He didn't like what I was saying. A lot of conflict was there. The tension escalated into a full-out war. And one day I wake up and the website is gone. Bam, vanished. Website's gone in thin air. And for a month and a half, the website had disappeared. Gone. And we had to go through a whole legal battle to get the website back, because the guy who shut it down, he had his name all over it. He was the security guy. He was the web designer guy. So he knew the ins and outs and all the intricacies involved in controlling a website and keeping and maintaining possession of a website. He had all the codes. He had that association with the platform by which the website was created. So we had to go through a whole legal battle. It was legally concluded that the website indeed was ours, that the website was our intellectual property. And the website had to legally be turned over to us. So after a month and a half of fighting, website got back into our possession. I made sure to put everything in my name to make sure that nobody would ever get their hands on this thing ever again. But the problem was that the website, it was off the grid. It was non-existent for a month and a half. When it came back into existence, it still remained to a great extent. Well, not to a great extent. It just remained unlisted by Google. And I've been trying to get it listed back again so that it could be popping up in people's search results, which for the most part it's not, but with no success. So I'm trying to reset the website. I want to reset this website back into Google. But ever since then, our website hasn't been getting that many views. And doesn't matter how many times I put headlines that would be getting the website a lot of attention, it just doesn't work. So as I on and off try to fix that problem, I have decided that I will not be doing these little short posts anymore. If you follow me on Facebook, you have noticed that I haven't been doing those short posts anymore because I don't want to do them anymore. And even if my website does go back on track and it gets relisted again on Google and all that stuff, I don't want to do short posts anymore for several reasons. One, for the most part, they're cheap. It's cheap work. It's nothing really special. It's nothing special at all. You're putting a post up that people could read just by going on Google News and looking up something, or going on one of the mainstream websites. It's not your work for part one. It's not your work. And I would like to just sit back and work on my own ideas, to write out my own ideas, to spend just time writing my own ideas. I think most people don't know how difficult it can be to write an article. Like, just sit down and write an article. I've had people, I knew a guy years ago who would do some blogging here and there, and he was one of these right-wing guys, and he would say, "Oh, how come you haven't put out a long article, or how come you haven't put out an article in a while?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on one, actually. I've been working on it." Well, actually, no, he was, yeah, we're working on it and blah, blah, blah. And he said something like, "Well, I put out an article today and I was done with it in like 45 minutes. I said, "Oh, okay." I checked out the article. I checked out his article, and it was like 500 words. And it was some googly gap right-wing claptrap about Israel. Well, anybody could write that. But to actually sit down and write an in-depth article, an in-depth essay, where you're laying out your thoughts, you're arranging your thoughts together, then you're articulating your thoughts in sentences, that takes time. It's not easy. There's a reason why Chesterton, G.K. Chesterton, the famous Christian philosopher, was an alcoholic. There's a reason why. People say, oh, Chesterton, he drank a lot of alcohol. They say that he drank 1 bottle of wine every single day. And they say that he drank a lot of beer, drank a lot of hard liquor, a lot of hard alcohol. There's a reason for that. Now, I'm not an alcoholic, but I do know that when you're in front of that computer screen and your mind is cold and frigid and you don't know you have the thoughts in your mind, but you're having difficulty putting those thoughts into writing, translating those thoughts into writing, you drink a cold beer and that's fixed. It loosens up your mind. It's like I remember years ago, I had a friend whose father owned a grapefruit farm in South Texas in the Valley. And he asked me, he said, hey, do you want to hang out at my dad's farm and see how farming life is? And I said, yeah. So I went to the Valley. I lived in this farm. Well, didn't live there, but I stayed in this farm for 2 days. Grapefruit farm. And I remember, this was before I got into gardening, but this was actually something that kind of inspired me to get into gardening. But I remember going to this farm, and there was this, you woke up at, we didn't wake up at 5:30 in the morning, okay, but we woke up at 7. You wake up at 7 in the morning, and you go to the giant warehouse where they keep all the tractors. And this guy had maybe like 2 tractors. It was a small farm. It was around 12 acres, grapefruit farm. And I remember there was this giant tractor, and this experience that I went through really made me appreciate the power of a tractor. Because when you look at when you're driving down the road and you look at, there's some farm country nearby and you see a tractor moving, it looks slow and weak. You're, oh, okay, whatever, a tractor. How powerful can these machines be? But when you actually look at a tractor and it's right in front of you, and then you actually get on a tractor and you feel the velocity of that thing, those things are powerful. Those are powerful machines. They're like tanks. It's like driving in a tank. But I remember he said, this friend of mine, he was a little bit grumpy because he just woke up and he knew that he had to spend hours working under the sun. But he said, well, he says, before we ride the tractor, we have to lubricate it, because if you don't lubricate it, it's going to get tight and it's going to it could damage the machine. So I remember he got this lubricant and he was lubricating all the joints of the tractor. So when you're writing an article, your machine, instead of it being a tractor, your machine is your brain. That's your tractor. That's your machine. So you got to lubricate the machine. Sometimes alcohol works as a lubricant. A little bit of alcohol gets your mind flowing a little bit. And Chesterton wrote tons of essays. He wrote tons of books. How does somebody write that many books in a lifetime? How was that possible? And then I found out that he was an alcoholic, and I said, "Oh, there's your answer." This guy was, when you got a little alcohol, you're blah, 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 blah. So yeah. But writing is difficult. And I remember years ago, I met this woman from Australia. She was a Catholic. She was a Catholic, and she said, "I want to start a." She said, "Theodore, I want to start a blog. I want to start a blog, and I want to start writing articles, not articles, articles." And I said, "Okay." So then she tells me later on, she says, "I didn't realize how difficult it was to write an article. So I sat down on the couch and I thought, okay, I'll write one article. It'll take me like a half hour or whatever." It's like, and then she's like, 8 hours later, I'm still writing on this article. It's like it doesn't end. Yeah, people don't realize how difficult it is to write. It takes time. So if I wake up and I'm like, okay, let's try to do some quick and dirties. That's what I call it. These little quick posts, I call them quick and dirties. That takes time, because you have to find a story that is going to grab people's attention. Okay, you post up the article. You have to think of a title. You have to find a photo that's going to grab people's attention. Got to post it up on Facebook. You got to do all these things. And then you go on to the next story. You try to find another story. By the time you do your 6th short post, it's already been an hour, a couple of hours. It takes time. Then you got to eat. You can't write if you don't eat, because your brain's going to be all emptied. So you got to eat. That also takes time. You got to do that. All these little things slowly they slowly drain your time. And it's those little things, those little distractions. You got to eat something, got to go to the bathroom, got to, get something to drink, get a little bit of water. Somebody needs help carrying something. You go outside, the chickens need some food. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Go get the mail. Oh, somebody calls you up. Okay, talk on the phone for a few minutes. Like all these little things, they just drain your time. They drain your time. So then by the time I'm like, okay, I did a bunch of short posts. Now I want to work on my in-depth piece. A lot of time has already gone through, and I just want to sit down and just concentrate my time on really two things: writing stuff that I want to write, not doing these little short posts about stuff that you can find out on your own, and doing videos. And I try to do at least one video a day. And that also doing videos takes time. That takes a lot of time because you have to research for the video. That requires reading, and reading takes time. And then you do the video. You may have to do some minor editing, but usually I do everything in one take. Uploading the video. And then, by uploading, I mean making it into an MP4. Then taking that MP4, making it into a YouTube video. So uploading it onto YouTube. Then coming up with a title, coming up with a thumbnail, coming up with something to say, coming up with, an opinion, putting it up on Facebook. That all takes time. It could take an hour and a half. It could take 2 hours. All that stuff takes your time. And I don't like doing videos on just some headline like, oh, did you see what Biden said? I like to do videos on my interpretation on the news. And I'll read an article on a certain news story or a certain subject that's relevant to the news, find a current event that's relevant to something that I know about. For example, what's happening in Lebanon. I'll read one article, I'll read a second article, maybe a third or a fourth article, put everything together on one sheet of paper, not a sheet of paper, but on one file. So that way I can look at my notes as I'm doing the video, do the video. All this stuff takes time. So if I could just work on the big things, if I could just work on the most important things, which is writing articles that actually have depth and doing videos, if I could just focus on those two things, then I have way more time in my day. Now I can eat something, not worry about time, water my plants, not really worry about time because I know all I'm doing is focusing on this one task or these two tasks, doing a video, working on an article. For example, the last video that I put up was an interview that I had done an interview that I had done with a Mexican man who was kidnapped by the cartel. He was kidnapped by the Cartel del Noreste, which literally means the Northern Cartel, which is in Sonora, Mexico, which borders right with Texas. I met this man really kind of not really by accident, but I don't want to tell you the details of that because I don't want to put any danger on him. But I met this man and he told me his story. He told me what had happened to him recently. And I asked him if I could interview him and he said yes. And that took time. I had to interview him. Well, first I had to talk to him with my broken Spanish because Spanish is not my language. He doesn't speak any English. So I had to speak to him with my broken Spanish, ask him if he wanted to do an interview, get his number, communicate with him, ask him when's a good time. All these things take time. And then finally getting the interview, talking with him. And then I had to do subtitles. And that takes forever because it was about the whole unedited audio was 30 minutes. A lot of it was just him repeating himself. A lot of it was him kind of giving details that's a little bit redundant. And it's not going to be that fluid for the human mind to absorb. Because again, people are going to watch an interview. They're going to read subtitles. You don't have to give them a whole load of details that you don't really need to know in order to understand the message of the story, the message of the video. So had to get a translation done for the whole interview, and then decipher, decide really which parts go in the interview, which parts don't have to go to the interview, don't have to be in the interview. Subtitles, write out subtitles, and then put in a little bit of commentary dispersed within the interview, within the video. All that takes time. All takes time. And then watching the whole interview, the edited version from beginning to end, fixing mistakes, editing mistakes, watching it again, finding some more errors, fixing those. I mean, all the stuff takes time. Uploading it, and then coming up with a photo and a time, all the stuff takes your time. But I wasn't really stressing out over it this time, because why? I'm not doing those quick and dirty posts. I'm not going on my computer, before editing this video, before working on this video, which is really the main task at hand in this specific case. I'm not going on my computer and saying, oh, what did Biden say today? What's on Twitter? And doing these stupid stories that are really meaningless, that aren't going to mean anything in a day or two or a week. Instead of focusing my time on these little temporal stories that mean nothing, I want to do a project on what this man went through, because that to me is way more important. So I would do the little tasks of my day, whatever little chores that I have to do, and I'm not stressed, because I know that those little quick and dirty stories that are meaningless, really, that's not going to happen. I don't have to focus on that. I have all this extra time within my day to focus on this one task. And this has taken, I mean, some of you guys already know this is the case in life, but this has taken me years to realize that the best form of time management is really not to do unnecessary stuff. And by that, I don't mean fun stuff like, you want to watch a movie or whatever, because you should always have fun. If you don't, then you're going to be enslaved to something and you're not going to be happy. By that, I mean looking at what you do in your day and then saying, okay, there's all this work that I forced myself to do that I don't really have to do, but I feel like I have to do, because if I don't, then I feel like I'm lazy, or I feel like I'm not doing enough work. And so I feel like I feel obligated to do this task. And then once you say to yourself, okay, it's completely pointless for me to enslave myself to this, even though I feel like I'm doing something, it's not really helping me. And looking at the reality of it, I mean, I'm not really helping anybody, forcing myself to do this obligation, to do this task. It's not really an obligation. Taking that, chugging that to the trash, and then just focusing on what is fulfilling and what is going to help people, and what is the most pertinent thing, most pertinent task, and what actually takes the most amount of time. What takes the most amount of time isn't doing these little quick and dirty things, but nonetheless, those little posts that I was doing, they still drain time nonetheless. But if I could take that out, because it takes you, 2-3 hours to do a whole bunch of these short posts. Well, if I get rid of that, now I have those 3 to 4 hours. I have those hours now for this one task that I want to focus on. And that makes it's actually more productive. Because if I do some short story about, oh, Biden said this, am I really educating anybody? Because part of the mission of Streetbot.com is to educate people. So if I just say, oh, look, Obama said something mean about Donald Trump, even though Obama's not the president anymore, am I really educating anybody? No. Oh, I mean, even the stuff that would give me a lot of views. Oh, Muslim terrorist takes a bunch of people and chops their heads off. That gives me a lot of attention. Am I really educating somebody with that? No, I'm not educating anybody with that, actually. You're just telling them something. You're just giving them a story that we all know happens. Not really educating people. If I find somebody who went through something horrific and survived to tell the story, and he's telling you all about his struggles, and you got that interview, and that interview is original, and that interview expresses compassion. It expresses determination. It expresses tenacity. It expresses an indomitable spirit. It can give people hope, but at the same time can let people know that the horrors that they're hearing about beyond the border are happening right in our midst. And if that story can instill compassion in someone, and if that story can instill into someone's mind the realization that the enemy isn't those people who are just crossing the border to work, that these people are human beings who go through suffering, go through horrendous suffering just to be here, then and if this interview or if this information can make someone realize, man, if somebody is going through so much danger to get to this country, that's who I want to be in this country. We talk about people coming in through Ellis Island, and we talk about people coming in through the Mayflower. These are people who risk their lives to come here, just like those people in the past risked their lives to come here. And if a project of mine could get people to realize that, then I've done my job. Then I've done my job. But if I'm just posting up gory stories and political gossip, I'm not helping anybody with that. So that's why I really just want to focus on in-depth analysis and videos, because that stuff actually takes real intellectual work. You have all these right-wing radio hosts who want you to think that the enemy are the people who are just crossing the border. For the most part, that's just not true. It's not. And if I can get people to come to that realization, then I've done my job. Anyway, let's see if I can. Let's see if I can answer your guys' questions. But I just wanted to get that off my chest, because it's just annoying that people will say, "Oh, Ted, you haven't posted anything in a long time." It's like, yeah, because I'm working on something. If you actually work on something, it takes time. For English is your fifth language. What's your first language? Theodore, where is the fourth largest church is being constructed? I have no idea. RZ in Polish is as in like the word treasure. Oh, okay. Treasure. So it's Katarzyna? Is that what it is? There are German words like Schadenfreude, word for irony, from English and language. One example, dramatic. Oh, interesting. Swiss. Oh, okay, cool. Oh God, no. We're gonna get the people who. Hold on. Got a bunch of comments here. I gotta freaking read through all this. Hold on a second here. Good morning, Cove Teo. Well, good morning in France, where you are. I feel like the people already have the answers to those types of questions. Which types of questions are you talking about? I am Swiss, and it's fighting for that neutrality. Listen to Roger Koppel. What do you mean by that? I would like to know more. I would like to know. Could you elaborate more on what you're trying to say? I find that interesting. I visited Switzerland before. I love the people there, but not their banks and their government. Katarzyna Kasia, and how it's abbreviated. It's only like a third most popular name in Poland after Anna and Maria. Maybe it's changing now. I have been living in America since 2002. Oh, man. I mean, you're basically American now. That's like 2002. That's like the 80s. I'll watch movies from 2001 and I'm like, man, the color is just awful. It looks like something from the 80s. Doris Hubel, Weltwatch Daily is covering a lot about what you just started, but in German, what you just started. I'll have to look that up. Love this quote from your dad. Evil is simply interested in ignoring the problem at hand. Blame someone else by creating additional enemies to keep the sheep from paying attention. Yep. What would you do if he, your family, and three-fourths of the church a nasty disease? He went wee-wee in the... What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Favorite comedians. This is from John Doppelganger. Favorite comedians, Dave Chappelle. There was a guy, what's his name? He's a singer now. He made that song called "It Feels Like Summer." What's his name? This guy used to do comedy skits that were so hilarious. Yeah, Childish Gambino, but what's his real name? This guy used to make some hilarious skits back in the day. Donald Glover. This dude used to make comedy skits on YouTube. And I remember watching some of them many, many, many years ago. And there were some of them were just absolutely hilarious. But Dave Chappelle, probably the best comedian in my opinion. I used to love watching the Chappelle show. I've enjoyed his stand-up. Chris Rock had some pretty funny stand-up. There's yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm not too crazy about comedians. I think they're kind of a I think I'm pretty sure I did a video on this before, but comedy is political. Comedy is almost always political by its very nature. It's actually political. The word comedy comes from this Greek word, which is something like to mock. But like the original comedians, actually, I don't know if that's true for certain. But the original comedians in Greece, ancient Greece, they were political commentators. They were people, but their political commentary was done in the form of mockery, and they would mock political officials, etc. And so comedy is a form of power. That's what it is. If I can make you laugh, that's a form of power. Now, it's a form of manipulation also. What does the word manipulate? That's a word that's used all the time, manipulate. What does that word mean? To manipulate someone or to manipulate something. What does that actually mean? Manipulation is just a form of control. That's what manipulation is. In martial arts, a lot of times, like a jiu-jitsu coach, he'll use the word manipulation, bone manipulation, body manipulation. So, for example, if someone is teaching a student how to do an arm bar, which is a way to dislocate the arm from its joint, they would say this is a form of manipulation. It's body manipulation. You're manipulating the arm to go a certain direction that it's naturally designed not to go to. Manipulation is control. That's what it is. Manipulation is power. That's what manipulation is. So if you can make somebody laugh, them laughing is out of their control. That's the crazy thing about laughter. Laughter is outside of your control. You can't control when you're going to laugh. You just can't. If that's why it's so difficult to try not to laugh when you want to. If somebody makes a joke and you start laughing, that's a knee-jerk reaction. It's just like your mind heard something and induced some kind of chemical, induce some kind of message to your mouth or whatever, and you start laughing. That's power. You're making people do something that they have no control. That they have no control of. It's out of their control. And so comedy, that's why comedy is so effective when it comes to politics. That's why that's why I remember when I was in junior high and high school, we had Jon Stewart. He was a political commentator, but he did it in the form of comedy. And he was very popular in those days. But now it's almost like the biggest political commentators are comedians. You have that Oliver guy, and Jon Stewart's still around, and that Bill Maher guy, and they're all comedians, all of them. But they are using comedy as a means by which to convey a political message. And why is comedy so effective? Why is comedy more effective than, let's say, debating, or let's say lectures or YouTube videos on these types of subjects? It's effective because you're making people do something that's a knee-jerk reaction. So if you really love, let's say your parents told you that the Republican Party was better than the Democrat Party, right? You were raised to be Republican, but then one day you hear Bill Maher or Oliver or whatever, and he says something that kind of makes sense, and it's said in a mocking way about the party that you were raised to really like, but you start laughing. Now you may say, well, it sounded funny, but I don't really agree with them. But if you continue watching that sort of stuff and you're continuously laughing, and then it's going to slowly start to change you, because what happens, it's going to start influencing you, because what happens is you enjoy the laughter. You kind of get addicted to it. And then you start looking at your parents, or you start looking at your parents' friends, and you go to the church, and you say, man, these people aren't funny. People are boring. That's when the other side starts looking good. So you can see, and I'm just saying this as an example, you can see the power of comedy in that. I would say the one thing that's more powerful than comedy is music. Music is so powerful. Why? Because music, like comedy, makes you feel things that's out of your control. If you have a good rhythm, and the rhythm is done very well, by done very well, I'm not talking about where all the instruments are all doing the same thing in unison. I mean, like, you have intervals of sound and harmony. One moment there's one voice, and then the second moment there's a choir, and then the single voice, the singer, starts harmonizing with the choir, and it's just voices. But then all of a sudden a beat comes in, a drum comes in, it just flows in perfectly, and you start moving. Your feet start moving, your head starts bobbling, music starts taking control of you. It's a form of manipulation. It's power. That's power right there. And it doesn't matter how much you disagree with the message of the song or what the lyrics are saying. You're going to listen to that song because you love that rhythm so much. And you love the way the voices come together. And you love the way the voice is executed, the singing is executed. And you may say, well, I disagree with the message. I disagree with the words or whatever, the political message of the song. But you still start listening to it. And what happens is that you start looking at your own house and you say, man, how come they make such crappy music? How come Christian music is so bland? And it starts influencing you. You see how it works? Communists make very, very good music. They do. They make excellent music. Even, and this is going to sound very strange, but even neo-Nazis, the European ones, not the American ones, the real neo-Nazis, when they make music, man, they start getting into that punk stuff, and they got some seriously good rhythm. Very good rhythm. Communists can make some very good rhythm. Some of the European punk Antifa bands, they have some excellent rhythm. But when you go to the Christian world, it's like evangelical contemporary music sucks. Modern Catholic music sucks so badly. Catholic films suck unless it's directed by Mel Gibson. Catholic, Christian pure flick movies, they just suck. They're terrible. They're garbage. But then you watch a film done by a reputable major production company, and you're like, wow. You watch a film like yesterday. I watched this movie, A Quiet Place 2. I watched this film, and man, the film was directed so well. Everything you're not supposed to do in a movie, this film didn't do. Like, for example, scenes that drag on for too damn long. Christian films do this all the time. Two guys in a car, and they're talking for 15 minutes about whatever, and they're doing all sorts of exposition, and they're explaining things, and it's no longer a film. It becomes a sermon. It becomes a lecture, and these scenes that'll just drag on, and all this explanation, and nothing's dramatic, and cheesy music in the background. They do it all. But then I saw this film, The Quiet Place 2, and this movie, it had tension throughout the whole movie. The music was done well. The music was presented within the right occasions. Acting was good. the tension was presented well. The explosive scenes were done very intensely. It was a well put together movie, But directing a film is not easy. It's not easy. But you just have to know what not to do. And if you want to know what not to do in a film, just watch any Christian film. Fireproof. Terribly directed film. It took like $3 million to do that movie, and they ended up making tens of millions of dollars. But it's a terribly directed movie. Terribly directed film. Why did Western Europeans help Japan industrialize itself? Didn't they think that it will cause major geopolitical shifts? That's a good question. The same thing happened in Germany after World War I. All these big American industries began to help Germany. I know for a fact that some of these industrialists were indeed Nazis who didn't give a damn what sort of ramifications their business actions may have done. I don't think they cared. I think that the love of money is so strong that they just don't care, because even if a war breaks out, they're still gonna make money. I believe it was IT&T. They were making money selling stuff to the Germans during the Second World War, and they were making money selling stuff to the American military. Both sides were using the same technology, and a bunch of people were making money. So I hope that answers your question. That's an amazing number of views. Dude, it was insane how many views Shootbot.com used to get. It was insane. Have you heard of cloud seeding? No, I have not. What is it? Can you elaborate more? That I would appreciate that. Were you even beating InfoWars? I think at that time we were getting like the same amount of views as InfoWars. It was insane. I'm telling you right now, it was amazing. Would you visit a Western Rite Orthodox parish? I'm going to a Western Rite priest under Bishop John Abdullah of the Antiochian Orthodox Church. Yeah, knock yourself up, man. I mean, yeah, go. I'm not against it. Do you know the relationship of Hitler towards Sanskrit, the Hindu? Yeah, in the Nazi occult circles. Not all Nazis were occultists, but within the Nazi party, there was definitely an occult circle. And these people were absolutely obsessed with the Sanskrit literature, Hindu religion. The swastika was most definitely something that came from Hindu influence on the Nazis. Definitely came from the Nazi fascination with Hinduism. I think it was Goebbels or Himmler who had a copy of the Bhagavad Gita next to him on his bedside. So yeah, definitely, there's a whole lot of literature on the subject. It's a fascinating subject, I will say. Should America invade Mexico? If America invaded Mexico, I don't know if that's be a good idea, because could America destroy the cartel? Absolutely. Easily. Yeah, America could just wipe the cartel out. If America invaded Mexico, killed all the cartel members, and completely outlawed cartel culture, yeah, I'd be all for it. But that's not what would happen. What would happen is America would invade Mexico, exploit the resources, and would arm one cartel to kill off another. And America's military presence would bring some kind of stability, just like it did in Afghanistan. But it would be one of those situations where once America withdraws, it's all going to go to hell. And whichever cartel would get the most American weapons, that's the one that's going to dominate. So if America invaded Mexico, it wouldn't change anything. It would just kind of, it would be just like a bandage covering up a serious wound, but the infection would be just festering the entire time, and really nothing would change. So, I mean, America should invade Mexico. I mean, only if America really wanted to destroy the cartel. But that's not the reason why America would invade Mexico. America would invade Mexico for geopolitical reasons and for financial gain. The Democrats would be all for it because if America invaded, well, the Democrats would be all for it if if Mexico became like a state of the United States, which would be insane. Because then you would have 130 million Mexicans voting in U.S. elections, and then the Democrats would most definitely try to get the Mexicans to vote for them. And because the Republicans are all about border security and all that, Mexicans would probably vote for Democrats. But if all the Mexicans become Americans, I mean, Republicans could definitely utilize their influence on them and try to get the Mexicans to vote Republican. It's interesting during when Bush won the election, Bush Jr. won his election the first time, I believe. The Republican Party got the majority of the Hispanic vote, which really goes to show you that the Hispanic population in the United States can be influenced to vote Republican. It's just that the Republicans need to stop this whole hysteria about people crossing the border. Ask anything, right? When Our Lady come, I love that first question. It's almost like ask anything, right? Well, get ready for this. When our Lord comes, he will defeat death. Is Satan older than death? Oh God. One of these hair-splitting questions. Is Satan older than death, since it was brought into the world through it to save him? I don't feel comfortable. What the fuck? What the hell are you talking about? I don't even want to answer this question because it seems like one of those questions that just like the answer just goes without saying. You know what I mean? Is Satan older than death? Yeah, obviously. He was here before death. So where in the Bible does it say that when Christ comes, death will be defeated? Where death will be defeated. Death will be defeated because there won't be any sin. That's the reason why. The reason why we have death is because we have sin in the world, and this flesh has become corruptible, and the flesh decays because of the sinly nature. Which is why Elijah never died, because he was sinless. Enoch never died because he was sinless. Satan will be defeated and sin will be no more, and thus death will be defeated. I hope that answers your question. What if Joseph Smith survived? Do you think he would have gone violent and started an insurrection? It's possible. He tried to start an insurrection when he was alive. The cancel culture algorithm would have eventually taken you off the top of the Google search list. Anyway, that's probably true. Answer our questions, Theodore. What questions, dude? Grand Celestial Night. Hold on. I'm so old. I'm trying to figure this thing out. I think I answered your question. Answer our questions. Okay, here. I'm not really seeing your question. Just repost it again and I'll answer it, okay? Being disappointed at the world is hard to take. Sure. Being disappointed at the world? I don't know. I'm disappointed with myself all the time. Judging by the quality of today's journalists, you shouldn't be too surprised why people don't think writing an article is too. Yes, that's very true. That's very true. People think it's easy. They think it's just she's writing an article. You write an article. It takes you like 45 minutes, and then you can go to the pool afterwards. No. The longest I've taken to write an article was 1 month. One time I spent one whole month on one article, and that was it was my article on the connection between Gnosticism, Protestantism, and Darwinism, and it was about 17,000 words around there. It was definitely a huge article. It was almost like a little book, and I spent about a month on it, and then there was a series of articles that took me months to write. Well, maybe There was a series, maybe I think it took me a whole month to write this series of articles. But if you want to read them, go on shoebot.com and look up the Max Planck Institute. You'll see on the search box in shoebot.com, type in Max Planck, Max, M-A-X space Planck, P-L-A-N-C-K Institute, the Max Planck Institute. I wrote a series of investigative articles detailing how the Max Planck Institute had a bunch of Nazis in their ranks after the Second World War, and how to this day the Max Planck Institute has some seriously twisted practices, like using aborted fetuses that are 20 weeks old for their scientific experiments. It's pretty twisted stuff. If the American government ever became, but yeah, it takes a long time to write a good article. So don't be ashamed. If you're writing articles, oh, I'm taking so long. Don't be ashamed. I used to feel shame taking too long. Now I don't, because I realize, well, the reason why I'm taking so damn long is because I'm doing all this other stupid stuff that I don't have to do, like putting short posts up all the time. Shouldn't have to do that. You don't have to do that. You should just work on stuff that is original. And now that you have more time to write original stuff, you're going to actually be more productive, because now you're going to be putting out more original work. So way more effective. If the American government ever became good, do you think that they should support the Iranian dissenters and stage a coup? I don't know, dude. It would have to, like, these. It would. I shouldn't be frustrated, because I did say ask me anything. Okay, so I'm going to answer all your guys' questions here. No, it's not. It's not really. It doesn't that type of question. It can't just be yes or no, because it's like, who are the people that you're training to do this coup? What ideology do they have? If you ask me, because right now the American government has this proxy called the people's. It's called the People's Mujahideen of Iran, and it's a cult. It's a huge cult that America supports. It's headquartered in Albania, and there are people in the United States government who want to use this cult to stage a coup and replace the current regime in Iran with a regime ran by this cult. Would I support that? No. That's ridiculous. It's like saying, well, Ted, you have a communist regime. Do you support America's coup over a communist regime? Well, not if it's a bunch of crazy right-wing fanatics. No, I don't. Iran is going to be a whack country as long as people there are wacky. And the Iranian society, ideologically speaking, is for the most part wacky. Because even if you're dealing with an Iranian who's not a Muslim or not a Muslim fundamentalist, a lot of those people have wacky ideas that stem from crazy ultranationalism, all sorts of weird stuff. The cancel culture, okay. Thoughts on Revelation 17? I'm not going to get into this. It's a whole Bible study now. Catholic Babylonian Mystery Church. Oh, come on with this Catholic Church stuff, please. Catholic Church is it? Okay, I'll indulge this for a while. I think that the Catholic Church is going down the road of Jerusalem. Jerusalem was the holy city of God. Jerusalem was destroyed. Jerusalem was just devastated by the Romans. The temple was devastated by the Romans. God allowed it that way. Fascinating story when you read Josephus's history on the Roman-Jewish War. After the Jews were defeated and the Romans completely vanquished Judea, one of the things that happened was Caesar demanded items from the temple. And one of the items that were given to Caesar was a giant candlestick, almost as if saying that the power was now, the ecclesiastical power was now transitioning from Judea, from Jerusalem to Rome, and Rome would become the head of the church. Of course, you had the Eastern Orthodox world pop up as well, but that Christendom became Jerusalem, right? The church became Jerusalem. Well, now the ecclesiastical world is going down the road of the Jews. It's the priesthood in the Catholic Church has become extremely bureaucratic. it's all obsessed with ritual, as opposed to it's all obsessed with doing the rituals mechanically, as opposed to actually doing the rituals because you love the faith. It's become a system in which they have the worship of the letter of the law as opposed to understanding the spirit of the law. Um, it's it has been overtaken completely by Sodom. Pedophiles and pederasts and predators are protected within the Catholic world, within the Catholic Church. There is a huge network of pederasts in the Catholic Church who are protected. Their crimes are covered up. The Catholic world is going down the road of Jerusalem, and I think that eventually, and I could be completely wrong about this, but I think eventually Rome is going to be destroyed, because God will eventually have enough of this nonsense and allow another country to destroy it in the end. And it could be a revived Ottoman Empire. It could be the Germans. We may be seeing in the next decade or in the next 2 decades a German army in the middle of the Vatican, entire basilicas on fire, and a bunch of German soldiers playing accordions and eating sausages and drinking beer and mocking all their victims, just like in the film Come and See, which is a masterpiece of a film which you should see. It's an absolute masterpiece. So I hope that answers your question about the Catholic Church in the end times. Is distributism socialism? Also, can you explain how that system would work if it was ever put into distributed? Are you talking about like distributing wealth? Is that what you're referring to? If that's what you're referring to, we already have that. I mean, I think every country has some sort of wealth distribution. That's not necessarily socialism. No, that's just government welfare, which isn't, again, it's not necessarily socialism. It can be used within a socialistic society, but it's not necessarily like Marxism. Marxism is when, in theory, you give control of production to the workers. If you want to understand Marxism in a line, there was a saying from Che Guevara, and it went something like this: the one who owns the land is the one who works it. Meaning the peasants who work the land, they should be the true owners of the land, not the landlord, not the employer. So Marxism is simply it's really a way to ignite a revolt of the workers against the employers, the landlords, the CEOs, those types of people. But simply distributing wealth to people who really need that assistance, that's just government assistance. That's not Marxism, okay? Some single mother who has to raise a child and she's working at Denny's, getting some kind of government welfare, that's not bad. That's actually good. I don't really see that as a problem. So, but if you want to talk about people coming up and saying, "Oh, we need to take like 90% of the CEO's money and give it to the poor and all that." Yeah, that's the people who push those things. They're always people who consider themselves socialists. There got to be a balance. There's got to be a balance. We have taxation, and those tax dollars are used. Those tax dollars are distributed for certain purposes. You're always going to have taxes. Government assistance is necessary for the people who really need it, not for people who don't really need it. Able-bodied men. If you have a whole family, husband, wife, children, they don't necessarily need welfare. But single mothers, elderly people, I think they do need some government assistance. It's not wrong. Families who, the husband's been laid off and you can't get him, he's desperate. He could use some government assistance. That government assistance could help him in some way. I don't really see an issue with that. But again, those types, it varies from situation to situation. It should be the result should vary considering the type of situation. We have to look at each situation case by case. Can't be just get rid of welfare. I've heard conservatives say stuff like that, and it's ridiculously stupid. Yeah, it has to be case by case basis, and it shouldn't necessarily be permanent. Like this person's going to permanently get welfare unless they're in a situation where they absolutely cannot support themselves. like, you know, they're missing all their limbs or something like that. Like, yeah, I can understand that. Spoken like a true addict. What are you referring to, Fast Joe Corrigan? What do you mean spoken like a true addict? Oh, like what I said about music, is that what you're referring to? Okay. 13 articles. I don't know what you're talking about. Why will globalism, Roman Catholic Church, communism always fall? What are you talking about? And nationalism win with walls and what the hell are you talking about? There's there's countries that are very nationalistic that are absolute failures. North Korea is one of them. Aussie accent, yep. I always wondered why Aussies sound so different from Brits. The Aussies, it's kind of difficult to do their accent, but I noticed that they pronounce the A's as a ah. And I've heard Canadians also do this sort of thing, but they really emphasize the eh. So it's the article, Australia. They have that sort of thing in their accent. That sort of intonation. Would you advise a reading of a certain saint? I love one of my favorite books. If I could give you one, it would be the life of Gerald of Arliac by Otto of Cluny. It's a beautiful book. Let me try to look up the original title. I'm pretty sure it's The Life of Gerald of Arliac. Yep, here it is. Life of Gerald of Arliac by Otto of Cluny. And Gerald of Arliac, he was a man who was of the privileged class. He was from a wealthy family, and he was being trained to be a knight. So he was trained in the arts of war and horsemanship and swordsmanship. And he was actually arranged to be married. And one day he got into an accident. I think he got into a horse accident. So he actually had to be stuck in bed for a while, for like a month or something, for him to recover. And so while he was in bed, he spent a lot of time reading, and he started reading about the lives of holy men and women, and he began to read spiritual works, and it really changed his mind, and he decided that he didn't want to be married. So he cancels the marriage, and he dedicates his whole life to God, and he wanted to do something for God. So he put his skills for the purpose of something holy. So he knew how to use a sword, he knew how to ride a horse, he knew how to fight. And he decided to create a Catholic militant order of warriors. And he at that time, France had it was French. France had a huge problem with marauders who would go to villages and rob and kill and pillage people. It's kind of like an anarchist world. And he decided to make a security order, an order of mercenaries, Catholic mercenaries who protected villages. Very fascinating story. So he fought against the marauders, and he was later declared a saint for his pious and holy life. So Saint Gerald of Arliac, I'll put the I'm gonna try to find the Amazon link for you so you can not have to bother with all that stuff. Here it is. He's in 1958. No. I'll put the title, Life of St. Gerald of Arliac. Here you go, guys. Great book. Read it many years ago. It was a very inspiring read. I got to magnify the text here because I'm getting blind. I need my glasses. What? I'm doing a video, yeah. I'm a viewer from Pakistan. Awesome. I spent 1 week on Gab and said to myself, why am I wasting my life reading people's thoughts one sentence at a time? Yeah. Gab's a weird place. There's too many Nazis there. I have an account there, but I haven't really posted there in a long time. The only reason why I post there is to try to expand my audience, but there's not really much of an audience there. If you do have a BitChute channel, subscribe to my BitChute channel, because there are times where I only do videos on BitChute. The reason is because sometimes I do a video on subjects that will get me banned 100%, or get me punished or penalized here on YouTube 100%. So sometimes I do videos exclusively for BitChute. BitChute, the problem with BitChute is that it's literally full of Nazis. But the only reason why I use it is because there's no censorship. But there are so many Nazis. And the thing is that most of the people who comment on my channel on BitChute absolutely hate me. Absolutely hate me. And no matter what I say, they hate me because I'm not white or whatever. I don't know. You should have a conversation video with Dr. Frank Turek. His channel name is Cross Examined. Come up with a video with him. It's going, dude. Okay. I said ask me anything, but for one, this is not a question, but it's fine. It's fine. No problem. So here's my position on doing videos with people. I will only do videos with people who want to do a video with me. Now, how do I know they want to do a video with me? They ask me. I do not like going to people and saying, can I be on your video with you? Or can I do a video with you? Or can I do a collab with you? I don't do that stuff. Why? Because it's just kind of silly to me. If you're going to do work with somebody, do work with someone who actually wants to do work with you. But if you're going to go to someone who has a huge audience, big audience, and they're doing their own thing, and you go to them and you say, hey, I want to do work with you. What does that really look like? Think about it. What does that even, like, what does that signify? What it signifies is you need them. And they're going to look at you and say, well, why are you? A lot of you guys don't understand how this whole business works. They're going to look at you and they're going to say, why are you asking me to do a video with you? Oh, you need me. See, you need me. And then you do a video with somebody, and guess what happens? They start looking at, let's say they entertain the idea of working with you. They're going to look at all your controversial statements. They're going to look at whatever gossip is said about you. They're going to make a judgment on you. Well, I don't want to work with you. And all of a sudden you put yourself in the position to be beneath somebody else. Do you see how that works? But if somebody comes up to me and says, Ted, I would like to do a video with you. You know what that means? That means cooperation. That means I'm not below you. You're not below me. Because I don't see things like that. But a lot of people do. And we're cooperating. And we're cooperating not because I asked you to do it, but because you had the will or you had the desire to do some work with me. You see the difference? Everything just comes out way smoother. Believe it or not, Sam Shamoon, I did an interview with him on Wednesday this week. And I've done a number of interviews with Sam Shamoon already. He has a very large audience. You know what's so amazing about this, about us doing work together? Sam Shamoon and I used to be enemies. Sam Shamoon used to say all sorts of vicious things about me, that I was a snake and I was a liar or whatever. He used to say all sorts of vitriolic things about me. And him and I got into an argument on a private conversation because he was saying all these things about me. So I contacted him and he began to say, like, I remember I said, hey, Sam, let's do a debate. And he said, I'll own you. I'll destroy you. And the debate never happened. And years later, by years later, I mean about 2 years ago. So years after we had this tension, this rift, it wasn't really a rift, but it was a conflict. Sam Shamoon was trying to contact me. And I believed that Sam Shamoon was contacting me because of some sort of ulterior motive. So I ignored it for years, 2 years. And then I would say in the beginning of 2021, I said, you know what? One night it just came to my mind. It literally just came to my mind. I'm like, man, why was Sam Shamoon trying to write me? Because he didn't write me just one time. He wrote me like 2-3 times. Why was he trying to write me? What was on his mind? I thought. So I put down my shield, I put down my paranoia, and I Googled Sam Shamoun's name just to see, like, where's this dude at? Maybe he had I thought to myself, maybe he had a change of mind. So I Googled his name, and I found out all these Protestants. I saw all these Protestants attacking Sam Shamoun. I saw James White attacking Sam Shamoun. I saw all these people attacking Sam Shamoun. Why? Because he started talking about the Virgin Mary. And I said, that's why he was trying to contact me. I didn't realize it then. So I wrote him at like 2 a.m. And then he contacted me the next morning. And I said, hey, sorry for taking so long to write you back. And he said, don't worry about it. He said, can we talk on the phone? I said, sure. So he gave me his number. I called him up. We talked for a while, and he told me about how he had this change of heart and this change of mind. And he was sorry about the way he acted. And he used to act like a terrible person. Like he totally was just, he was just getting all the stuff off his chest, and he wanted to make amends with me. He wanted to form a friendship. And he said, come on my show. Let's do videos together. And I said, definitely, let's do it. So we've already done, I think, like 4 videos so far together. And we're going to have more in the future, God willing. And he's a very different person now. I mean, from the way he used to be, he's very different. Total change of mind. And I don't mind working with Sam. Why? Because he made the decision to change and to apologize and to have harmony and cooperation. But if I go to someone who I don't even know, like Frank Turek, go to this guy or anybody, people who I don't know, people who don't know me, who never talk about me, why would I go to that person and say, hey, can I work with you? He don't know who you are. And then the second you tell him, hey, I want to work with you, he thinks you're a peon. Because he's like, well, you need me. Do you see what I'm saying? It has to be on mutual respect. It has to be on a basis in which both people know each other. It has to be on a basis in which both people want to work with each other. But until somebody wants to work with me and has shown willingness to work with me, I will not waste my time asking someone to work with me. I don't like asking people to work with me. I don't like asking people for favors. If somebody wants to do a favor for me, I'll do it. I mean, yeah, I'll do it. If somebody wants to do something for me, I accept it as a gift. I'm grateful. But I don't like saying, hey, could you do this for me? Or hey, could you do, I don't like doing that. You know? And in fact, every time I've gone on Sam Shamoun's show, it's because he said, hey, Ted, you want to work together? You have anything for me? And I told him, and after our last interview, I told him, I said, Sam, the reason why, because he said, hey, if you got anything, write me. And I said to him, Sam, the reason why I don't write you, or the reason why I don't initiate an interview with you, is because I don't want to be a burden. I don't want to come out and be like, hey, let's talk about this. I wait for you to come because I don't want to put that burden on you. And he said, no, it's not like that. So, okay, I'll be more initiating now. Because I see, okay, he actually wants to have that collaboration with me. So, it's just the dynamics of human relationships. It's not just in the speaking world. This is in every aspect of human relationship ever. In every aspect of relationship between humans, this dynamic exists. It absolutely exists. If you meet, let's say you meet a guy, right? And you both have similar interests, and your friend, he wants to become friends with you. And okay, let's have dinner. Okay, fine. You have a dinner, you have a Bible study, something happens, whatever. But then he starts like texting you all the time. And by that, I don't mean like once in a while he sends you a text like, hey, check out this YouTube video, check out this article. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking like incessantly writing you, calling you up every day, calling you up every few hours. And when he calls you, he doesn't respect your time, right? He just wants to talk for hours. And you barely even know this dude. That's always a red flag. It's always a red flag. He's not even bringing anything to the table. He just wants to take your time. That's disrespectful because you're not respecting the other person's time. Um, but if you're calling this person up and he's calling you up, and there's both there is both this demonstration of willingness to have a conversation and to hang out together and to share thoughts with each other, then that's fine. But if it's just one person constantly imposing his will, it just doesn't work. It's the same thing with dating a girl. You ask a girl out, okay, she gives you the number, okay, blah, blah, blah. But if you're just like writing her all the time, texting her all the time, and she's not doing shit, there's no relationship. There's nothing. There's no hope for anything. Nothing. But if she's writing you and you're writing her and you're both talking to each other and she's like offering to go out and maybe she offers to pay someday. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with a girl paying on a date once in a while. Nothing wrong with that. Then that's healthy. Why? Because there's cooperation, there's harmony, there's everything. I'm just giving my thoughts out to you. But no, I would never ask somebody who I don't know, who's never written me before, has never shown any willingness to have any sort of even dialogue with me. I would never waste my time ever asking anybody to do anything with me. Never. Every debate that I've been on, with the exception of Martin Sellner, every debate that I have done on the internet has been a person telling me that I'm wrong and you're full of this, and has initiated the argument. In every debate that I've been on, except for one, it always began with someone else, with the other party initiating an argument with me. I've never, I want to debate you, and no. And so many people do this, like, Ted, you should talk to this. Ted, you should. No, why? Why should I talk to this person? They're not coming to me. They're not showing any willingness to me. And I put all my work out. Here's all my videos. All my thoughts, they're out there for the public to see. I've been very open about my beliefs. My beliefs on the gays, my beliefs on abortion, whatever. It's all out there. If Frank Turek and all these other guys, if they haven't seen my work, and if they're not interested in my work enough to write me and say, hey, let's do a collaboration, why waste my time? Do you see what I'm saying? If you've written hundreds of essays and articles, which I have, if you have written hundreds of essays and articles and have done hundreds of videos, you're doing a lot of work. You're putting in a lot of effort. If someone doesn't have the will to write you and say, hey, I really like your work, that means they're not that interested. They don't care. And believe me, Frank Turek and James White and Michael Vore and all these dudes that you talk, they pretty much all of them have heard about Shootbot.com. They all have. Okay. To a certain extent, they have heard about us. And I know Voris knows who I am. I know James White knows who I am. A lot of these guys know who I am. Frank Turek most likely knows about my dad. If he wants to talk to me, he knows where to find me. That's the thing. Like, why do people expect you to go out and talk to people, to go out and initiate or to ask someone to do a video with you? Why do people make these sorts of statements when the person, in this case, me, is right in the open to have a conversation with? Anyone can write me. So if Frank Turek wants to do a video, he can. I have to get this out because I get these messages too many times where people are like, you should do this with this. It's like, dude, why? I don't need Frank Turek to get my message out. I don't need anybody to get my message out. I'm doing all the work myself. I edit my own videos. I do my own videos. I research my own videos. I don't got a staff. I ain't got none of that. Are you a Jesuit? Yes, I am. Would you support the breaking up of the Union? No, that's stupid. You want to be in a civil war? You want to see hundreds of thousands of dead people? You want to see civilians getting massacred? You want to see women being raped? I know, it's amazing. All these dumb ass. I'm not saying you're okay. If you believe that, then you're stupid. But all these dumbasses who are like, Muslims that rape white girls. You do realize that if America got into a civil war, there'd be way more white girls getting raped. You know that, right? but yet you want to see a civil war. Like, so stupid, so flippin' brain dead. Brain dead. Like, why the hell do you want to see a civil war? Why do you want to see a bunch of dead people? Why? Could the Democrats, dude, you think Republicans are saints? You think Republicans are all these great people? You think if you do get your little ethno state, you think it's going to last even that long? Because believe me, if you have a country full of white folks, your fat ass ain't going to install tile. We got to import some labor, guys. Do you believe you are being lied to about the earth being a globe? No, we don't live on a flat earth, okay? The world is circular. Even the Bible says that. The Bible says the world is a sphere. Oh, God. Just shut up. Earth is not flat. In my opinion, Joe Biden is a puppet for communist takeover of America. Prove it. Prove it. I'm all ears. Okay, I get that a lot of them go through suffering, but 1/3 or thereabouts of federal prisoners are illegal aliens. 1/3 of prisoners are illegal. Dude, the people who are going to prison aren't people installing tile. They're not people installing sinks. They're not people doing plumbing. Great majority of these people are not what you're talking about. If one bad apple spoils the bunch, what about 1,000 bad apples? You should look at the FBI Most Wanted. I don't know what you're referring to. I mean, dude, most of the murders in this country are done by like 1% of the black population. So we should just get rid of all the blacks. Because tons of murders are done by blacks. Tons of robberies are done by blacks. Tons of drug dealing is done by blacks. We should just get rid of all the blacks. Because one bad apple just spoils everything. Base explanation on video collapse. Thank you, Ortho Christus. I had to get that out there. I'm so sick of this. You should talk to... No, they know where to... You should debate this person. They know where to find me. If they want to debate, then write me. I know what I'm saying. Like, I'm way out here in the open. Until then, I'm doing my own thing. That's the thing. Until then, I'm doing my own thing. I do my own thing. I do my own videos. I want to talk about what I want to talk about. I read what I want to read. I research what I want to research. Because if I start doing stuff because other people want to read about that stuff, then I have no passion in it. I don't have skin in the game. It's like they know where to find me. They know where to find me, bottom line. They know where to find me. But if they show no willingness, it's like dating a girl. If you're going out with a girl and you're always the one asking her to go out, if you're always the one texting her, if you're always the one to tell her, if you're always the one, and I've been there before. I think most men have. They're always the one. You're always the one doing all the work, and she's not doing shit. Then you're wasting your time. It's the same thing with anything else in life. They all know me. Believe me, all these apologetic guys, they all know Shoebot.com. They all heard about it. If they're not willing to write me, I ain't willing to write them. They got to make the move. Because Ted, you got to put some kind of effort. I do effort every single day. I post stuff every single day, or I post a video at least every single day. I'm doing stuff on a weekly basis. I'm putting all the effort I want. I'm right here in the open. I'm trying to... Hold up. Man, you guys are asking me some good questions here. I'm gonna answer all of them that I see. Okay. I try to do this question stuff once a week because I know it's really fun. Actually, I enjoy talking to you guys. Trying to go back up to where I left off. Dennis Leary was a good. No, I never really was crazy about white comedians. I mean, no offense to white people, I've never been a fan of white comedians. Never. There's something about white comedians that a lot of them just they're not funny. I don't know. They so if you find it funny, I'm just giving you my opinion. Okay, this is from my own relative experience. White comedians are not funny. They're not. Tosh, whatever, was not funny. He was just. I think Tosh was a sadistic psychopath. I hated his jokes. Very distasteful. Was not funny. Dennis Leary wasn't funny. Never laughed at one. Never in my life have I ever watched Dennis Leary was like, ha, can't. I've laughed with Chris Rock. I've laughed with Donald Glover. I've laughed with Dave Chappelle's jokes and his humor. Black people are very funny. Black people are the funniest people in America. Super funny people. They are very good at telling jokes. They're very good at executing jokes. They're very good at saying the joke in a way that makes people laugh. That's why there's so many good black comedians out there. White comedians are not funny. They're not funny. They're just not good at it. They're not. They're just. Oh, this is how white comedians. This is how they tell jokes. They go. So yeah, I was with my wife last night, and I was in a restaurant, and there was a waiter who came over, and he asked me what I wanted to order. I said, give me the pork belly, and gave me the belly, and it was literally a belly. Ha 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 ha. That's not funny. Yeah, they're just not funny. Man, y'all writing a lot. Okay, here we go. I think Trump is coming back in 2024. It's very possible. It will be the corrupt bargain 2.0 as the Republicans and Democrats will make a dirty deal. I don't know. Yeah, I think it's very likely that Trump will come back. Who knows? Q is a DHS. Okay. Theodore, after about a month now, could you condense your reading of Josephus in a vid? I kind of already did. I did a video on YouTube. It's called, I think it's called like Just Finish Josephus. And I did like a whole bunch of videos on Josephus. Just go to my YouTube channel, look up anything to do with Judea or the Jews. Pretty much almost all of them are about what I read in Josephus. Also, I put out a number of articles on my writings on Josephus up on Shubot.com. Go on Shubot.com and look up Josephus on the search box. You'll get everything there. Roger Kopel owns Weltwoche Daily. Okay, I'll have to look that up. At least I will get to see another World Cup before Kamala Harris becomes president. Now you guys are arguing about QAnon. Okay. If they found a ton of oil in Mexican, would American then deal? Dude, there's already a ton of oil in Mexico. Most of Mexico's oil is in the Gulf of Mexico, so it's cartel free. Dude, have you ever heard of the Gulf Cartel? White comedians are just not funny. Now, I have met some white people personally who were extremely funny people, but they weren't comedians. They were just average people. There was this one girl I met, wasn't in a relationship, anything like that. Just she was the daughter of a guy who was hosting me in Colorado. So I was speaking in Colorado Springs, and no, it wasn't Colorado Springs, Greeley, Colorado. And I stayed at this dude's house, and he had his daughter was staying. She was older than me, but I mean, funniest woman I've ever met. I could never stop laughing. So that why apartheid South African comedians were banned and jailed? Yeah, probably. Yeah, because comedy can be used as a form of political change. Thoughts on Milo's Trinity intervention with Owen Benjamin? I don't trust Milo. We are being manipulated and deceived by the press and authorities about everything. Everything in the press is a lie? Are you sure? The fourth largest church is being constructed in Punjab, India. under the pastor Ankar Narula. Do give it a Google. Okay. Evangelical Christian rock is so bad. Yeah, for the most part, but some of it is. There actually are some Christian bands that are legit rockers. POD, I think, made some great music back in the early 2000s and in the 90s. I would say Creed made some excellent music, and they were a Christian band. So it's not all bad, but most of them are bad, yeah. But most bands suck, I think. Most bands in general, I think, are pretty crappy. Hi, Theo. Greetings from the Faroe Islands. Oh, do you have any thoughts about what the New Testament says about what will happen to the people living on islands in the end days? Say hi to your dad. Hello. Halur Hjelgrimsen Djurhus. So I think that the islands are the islands of Japheth. I think, yes, that does pertain to Europe. Is it all of Europe? I'm not sure. But I think the islands could be, I think the islands most definitely would be like Greece, islands like maybe Malta, definitely Cyprus. But is it all of Europe? It's hard for me to make that conclusion. That communist music sucks. G.G. Allen was zero. Oh, I don't know what you're talking about. They're a Greek philosopher. If listened to bad music, you will become a bad person. Yeah, eventually. I mean, it definitely has an influence on you. Mormons are very not. It depends on the person, but I think, yeah, for the most part, music can be very effective. Mormons are very good at filming cartoons. Yeah, no, they're not. I only listen to elevator music. I am the true intellectual. You're living in France, so give us a good French band that you like. That would be interesting to know. Those spoken word communist albums, dude. I'm not talking about spoken word. I'm talking about like Antifa punk music. Okay, dude. There is a band from it's from Belarus, and they're like anarchist, total anarchist guys. Okay. But they're called, the name of they used to be known as Liapistrebotskoy. And they weren't always political. They used to make music about romance and the common stuff that people sing about. And that was back in the 90s. But something happened within the early 2000s where they became political. And then eventually they changed their band from Liapistrebotskoy to Bruta. Bruta is in the Belarusian word for ugly. And but even before they became political, they made excellent music. I mean, rhythmically speaking, they made beautiful music. They truly are masters of sound. The main singer, the vocalist, Serhii, I think his name is Serhii Michalok, very talented musician, one of the most talented musicians I've ever seen in the modern world. Outside of Eastern Europe, he's pretty much unknown. Outside, and by Eastern Europe, I mean like Belarus, Ukraine, Russia, for the most part. He does have some fan base in Poland, but I think for the most part, it's those countries that he's known in. But rhythmically, I mean, the guy is a master at music. And then when he formed Bruta, he became just pretty much all political. Music about capitalism, music about communism. And he's not a communist, by the way, because he hates Stalin. Very anti-Russian, very anti-Putin. But he's an anarchist. And he's done music about the Soviet Union and how it's coming back and how it's reviving and all that stuff. But his music is done so damn well. And I remember before I debated Michael Brown, let me tell you something. Debating ain't easy. And debating isn't always fun. And when you're debating a guy who's a seasoned debater, you feel a little bit nervous. And I remember before I debated Michael Brown, I knew that Michael Brown was a seasoned debater. And he was good at arguing. And I was nervous. I will admit, I was nervous. But do you know what helped me get through the nerves, the feels before that debate? Putting on that music at full blast. And before that debate, I had that music on. Full blast. The night before the debate, I had that music on. Every day when I was researching for that debate, I had that music on constantly. Why? Because it helped the mind. Because the rhythm was so strong. There's a song that he has called and I think this is when he was a part of Lia Postrobotskoy. Regardless, there's a song that Mikhailuk has. It's called Freedom Belarus, and the chorus goes, Belarus, freedom Belarus, freedom Belarus, da da na da da na da da, and there's this guitar solo that comes in, and it's just rhythmically very well. There was one song that he made. I forget the name of it, but it starts out with the verse, and the verse there's like da da na da da, la da na da da da, da da na da da, da da na da da da, na da 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 da, da da, and then the chorus comes in, and the chorus is like brai sobrai, and the word that he's using, when you translate it into English, it's something like will, strength, be strong, be strong. And even though I don't understand the language, I feel the message that he's trying to convey just by the rhythm and the sound and the harmony. And that mentally is what helped me. Man, like debating, I get nervous before debates, and that music has always helped me. So when I'm talking about like left-wing music or right-wing music that's good, I'm talking about stuff that's rhythmically very seriously done, very well done. If you want to get what I'm looking, if you want to understand what I'm talking about, look up Bruta. Bruta is spelled Brutto, and look up Lia Postrobotskoy. And listen to all their music. Not all of it is. There are some songs that aren't that great, but most of the music is, very well done. What do you think of E. Michael Jones? Okay, this is a meme. I'm going to ignore this question. Do you think Hungary will try to invade Transylvania in the future? Seeing that they get help. I know that Hungary hardcore wants to take Transylvania, like hardcore. They want Transylvania to be part of Hungary. And I know that there are ethnic Hungarians in Transylvania, who want to be a part of Hungary. And the fact that you have such a strong base for that sentiment within Romania, I think that's dangerous for Romania. That could definitely cause a problem and fracture Europe. So I don't know if Hungary will invade, but I think that if that movement gets strong enough to where it becomes dangerous, it could start a whole ethnic war between Hungarians and Romanians, just like what's been happening since 2017 in Catalonia could cause a civil war within Spain. Okay. Will you please go back to Rome and mock and condemn those vile harlots of the Carmelites? That would be fun, but I don't have that opportunity. Hello, Eternal Byzantine. This has got to be the 1000th time you've been asked about E. Michael Jones. Bush pandered to the Mexicans and only got 40% of the vote. Yeah, but was it just 40%? I don't know. He got a huge chunk of the Mexican vote. Let me see here. Hold on. Let me see here. That's from a national exit poll, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly how many votes. I read that he got the majority of the Hispanics. I hate, dude, Google sucks so badly now. Remember back in the day, you used to search something and it was like, bang, you got what you were looking for. No. Now it's like, it's not even, it's the results that you're getting on the search, it's not even what you're looking for. It's which website's paying the most money to Google to have all their stuff up front. It's so freaking annoying. I'm getting articles. I just looked up Bush Hispanic vote. I'm getting articles about like Donald Trump and the election and the freaking Hillary Clinton. So stupid. So annoying. Let's see here. I'm not sure. But even if he got 40%, I mean, that's still pretty huge. That's pretty substantial. Anyway, I'll look more into it. The British saw the Japanese as their twin brothers in Asia. Yeah, a lot of the Europeans in those days saw the Japanese as kind of like figurative white people. Yeah, Mexicans or Latinos, not the same. Exactly, dude. When you say Hispanic, it doesn't necessarily mean Mexican is a nationality. Like if I'm born in Mexico, but I'm ethnically not Latino, I'm still a Mexican citizen. Theodore, have a look at the YouTube channel Sneakers Corner. They got huge information about religion. Invite the channel owner. Okay, I don't know if he wrote this before I gave my whole like long lecture on why I don't request people. I'm just going to ignore this one. Besides, the Cubans love the Republicans. That's very true. Last you checked, he only got 40%. But was that like a poll or was that the actual vote? Because I read here that's an exit poll. Maybe I don't understand. A poll of people leaving a polling place, asking how they voted. Okay. But is that necessarily the actual result of the election? That's the thing. How Latinos voted in 2004. Let's see here. Just give me the answer. I don't give a crap about whatever. Let's see here. So both the CPS and the state polls have the male share of the Hispanic vote at about 46%. The state, so 46%, that's almost 50%. That's pretty huge. That means that more and more people could have been swayed to the Republican side. Okay, anyway, moving on. All have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God. Okay, heard that before. I was a long-time subscriber to your channel. What happened to your zeal? You inspired me. It breaks my heart when you say that. What happened to my zeal? I did a video on this. It's called I have become disillusioned with everything. Go on my YouTube channel, you'll find it. It's I have become disillusioned with everything. And you know the saying, ignorance is bliss? It's very true. Oh, connection issues. I'm going to wait for my connection issues to stop. Internet is off. Oh my gosh. Internet's working. Could you guys hear me? Do you guys hear me at all? Okay, you guys. Okay, we're back up. So you guys are commenting about my lack of zeal. Despair leads nowhere but to darkness. So what happened to? Okay, hold on. Okay, I don't know. It's a tough question to answer. It's tough because one, I've already said everything that I need to say about this subject in prior videos, but two, I mean, it's just it's a sad topic, because I look at myself and I say, man, Ted, where has your zeal gone? You know, I just I got tired of everything. I got tired of everything. I tried my best. It's so hard to fight for the Catholic Church and all this stuff. And when you see priests preying on you and nobody gives a damn, people that you used to know start attacking you because, is this connection working? Oh my God, dude, it's so annoying. Connection seems to be working. Give us some white pills. Okay, I'm just making sure we're good. I'm pretty sure we're good now. Man, the internet where I live just sucks. I hate this internet. It's such garbage internet. Okay, internet seems to be working now. Anyway, yeah. When you see that, when you got a bunch of freaking priests praying on you, and no one gives a shit, nobody gives a damn, no one wants to do anything. Yeah, you become disillusioned. I don't know what else to tell you. What do you want me to do? You want me to like defend Pope Francis? You want me to defend the priesthood when the fact is that the priesthood is going down the road of the Pharisees? I got zeal for exposing the priesthood of the Catholic Church. That's what I have zeal for. I have zeal for telling you why I become disillusioned. That's what I have zeal to do. So I still have my zeal. It's just being redirected. The energy is not being expended towards what you want me to expend it to. It's being expended to exactly what I feel and exactly what to expose exactly what I see and what I have seen. And I'm not saying this as a spite against you, Grand Celestial Knight. I'm not angry with you for asking. No, it's not that at all. But it's just people say, "Where's your zeal?" Like, I have zeal. It's just I have zeal to tell you why I lost zeal for this particular subject. Some of you guys are arguing about Cuban people. I understand. How many Nazis joined the Jesuits? Oh, okay. I am not for open borders. Okay, you guys are having a debate now. Both sides do not want a secure border. Okay. My uncle is a hardcore Republican, and his shop employs mostly cheap illegals. So this whole thing about people hiring illegal immigrants. Here's the thing, guys. Who cares? Honestly, like, I don't care. Businesses are in the business of making money. Corporations are in the business of making money. Industry is in the business of making money. It's not in the business. Businesses are not in the business of being American. Nobody gives a shit about that. If you're making billions of dollars, or if you're making millions of dollars, you don't give a shit about, oh, be American. For the most part, you don't care. You're happy making all the cash and all the profit. That's why so many companies, American companies, will go to different countries. Like, why are they going to different countries? Because the labor's cheap. It's like, if you're building a house, okay, let's say, I know most of you guys aren't in this position, but let's say you're building a house and you want to build a house because you want to sell it or you want to rent it, right? You want to make money off of it, but you want to make sure that your expenses for the house, for building this house, are not so much to the point that your profit margin is going to be so small. You want to make a profit, and you're going to make an investment, but the investment has to be as little as possible for the most amount of profit, right? We'll just put it that way. So you build this house, you make sure that the house is a good quality, and you got your foundation built, you got the stainless steel appliances, tile, hardwood floor, all this stuff. If you hire Americans to do your work, not all work. You can hire some Americans for certain work, and it's fine. But if you go out of your way and say, I'm just going to hire Americans, you know what you're going to end up with? You're going to end up with some guy driving up to your property, driving up to your building site with a big ass pickup truck, and his name is on the pickup truck, and he's got his number on the pickup truck, and he's going to be charging you an arm and a leg. Now, if you go to Hispanic workers, Mexican workers, they're going to get the job done, but they're going to be asking for a lot less. Are you in the business of making money or what? Bottom line. No one cares. At the end of the day, nobody cares about being American. People care about what? When you have a business, when you're making an investment, you want to make money. It's just bottom line. Be realistic about it. You know, nobody wants to spend a crap ton of money. And then if you hire all Americans and all this and all that, right? Oh yeah, you got the big ass American white guy who's 6'5" and he's got the giant pickup truck and the cowboy hat and he's playing country western music, right? Let's say you got that guy. You hire a bunch of those guys. Your house is now going to be super expensive. It's going to be the price is going to be beyond what anyone else can afford. If you want to put it for rent, the rent's going to be super expensive, and it's going to take a long ass time before you make any profit. Before you actually get your to the point where you're actually getting money back that's not being used to pay back all the money that you spent to make this investment. So let's say you spend $100,000 to build the house, or $145,000 to build the house. You have to be getting rent money to get that $145,000 back. It's going to take you years and years and years and years before you actually start getting money that goes beyond that. That goes beyond the investment that you actually put in. It's business. Bottom line, no matter what you do, people are going to look for the best deals. No matter what you do, people are going to hire. They're going to hire labor that's going to be the cheapest, but for the best work. It's competition, you know. It's bottom line. The bottom line, guys, is Americans can't outcompete with foreign labor. That's just the bottom line. And Americans love talking about competition and that you can't outcompete foreign labor. That's why globalization is so popular, because big business makes a lot of money. Oh, wait, hold on. Did someone just say Bill Burr is funny? No, he's not. Bill Burr is not funny. I've never laughed at a single Bill Burr joke in my life. Maybe it's because I'm not Anglo-Saxon. I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm part Middle Eastern and I got Mediterranean blood in me and I just like a certain humor. I don't like some guy. Bill Burr is just some guy with like a New York accent who's always like, well, really? Nothing. You know what they do? Nothing. Women, they're on the boats. The men, they're drowning. They're drowning. It's just like, dude, if I wanted to listen to a New York accent, I would just go to New York, because everyone in New York talks like that. You go to New York, everybody's complaining. Like, New York is the capital of bitchery in the United States. All we do is complain. That's all they ever do. They're like Olympic athletes in complaining. So why would I want to go listen to Bill Burr? He's just talking like a typical New Yorker. That's all he's doing. Man, this connection sucks. It's not funny. It's just a typical New Yorker talking. That's all. It's just not funny. It's dry. Nope, I don't like Bill Burr. I don't think he's funny. It's just I never laughed at a single joke that he's ever made. Everyone's like, I got a six-pack. I'm laughing at. This is how I am at a Bill Burr video. I just never found it funny. I don't care. I keep commenting. He doesn't address anything. Dude, what are you talking about? Dude, you know how many freaking comments I'm getting here? I'm trying to get all y'all's comments. You got to give me some time, buddy. Be a little patient. Hold up. Let's see here. We cannot be confused about the question. Alcohol is a drug. Oh God, here we go. Got the Mormon arguments. Are you on Rumble? No, I'm not. We pronounce A as in duck. Example, Australia sounds like Australia with the U pronounced as in duck. Australia. An article. Oh, yeah, it makes yeah. You're a good accent coach. Australia. Also, do you okay, hold on. I'm reasonably sure that all the churches are whack. Yeah, pretty much, man. Yeah. I got blackpilled on that. Referring to the Ottomans, hold on. Referring to dude, Colonel Quayle is a troll. Everyone just ignore him. This dude's a total freaking troll. Yes, I already explained this about Andrew. Andrew was arrested and charged with child endangerment. Absolutely. We fired him. Do you think the Orthodox Christian Church will take back Sophia? Maybe. No clue. Can't make that prediction. Maybe. Possible. Good for your uncle? I don't know where. Okay, yeah. Theo and Anne. Okay. Why be a Catholic when your false church does? Okay, this guy's a total troll. Quayle. Okay. Go make up your own Bible. Referring to the Ottomans destroying Rome, I think Turkey will be destroyed by the Russians. Well, they are enemies historically, so maybe one day Russia will just end the problem. I don't know. I think that Italian communists will attack the Vatican. Personal opinion, but it's possible. I don't know. Dude. What evidence do you have to? What reason do you have for saying that? What do you think of Bella Dodd, who testified that she met 4 communist archbishops? Who's Bella Dodd? I'm gonna. Oh my God, dude, the connection. Bella Dodd. I don't know. I don't know. She claims that she saw something. Could be. They are communists in the Catholic Church. There's no doubt about that. So it doesn't really surprise me. The faith will move to Portugal. I think the Russians will destroy the Vatican. Okay. I have a feeling that Theo is going to leave. I'm still here. Quick lesson by. Okay, I already read this. What do you think of Nick? What do you think of Nick Fuentes? I already gave my opinion on Nick Fuentes last time, but I'll just say I think he's I don't like him. I think he's a scoundrel. So I don't like people who promote weird racist ideas. We cannot be confused about this question. Okay. Do you see coming up Western world to be more away from God, whereas Middle East and Asia, like China, Iran, India, yes. Yes, I think that's happening already. People in Asia, yeah, absolutely. People in Africa have way more zeal to fight against the sodomite agenda. People in different countries are definitely more resistant to it, even though it is growing in those countries. I think that it's definitely more vibrant in non-Western countries than Western countries. Do you think Africa could be the future of Christianity? I think it definitely does hold a place, yeah, for the future of Christianity. Absolutely. Tons of Christians in Africa. And they're actually just way more. There's a cat sleeping right near me. They're just way more vibrant for the faith than most Westerners. Frank Turek is a smart man, but he associates with dude. I don't. Yeah, they're all part of the same circle, man. Can you give us a book tour? What's all that behind you? Oh, okay, sir. Let me see. Am I okay, guys? Write a comment if the connection is good. I think it is because I'm still getting comments here. Okay, so looks like the connection's good. So quick little book tour here. This is a book on the history of Rome. As you guys can see, I read this book a couple of years ago. It was pretty good. Or last year I read it. I don't remember. I have, I'll pick out some good books here. Let's see here. This is one read that I've never read, but I want to. It's a book from the Renaissance era. It's a book on Florence by A History of Florence by Niccolo Machiavelli. I thought this would be an interesting read. Probably hella boring, but here's one book that I perused through years ago. It's Chronicles from Russian History. Very interesting read. Man, is this connection working? YouTube is so annoying. It keeps telling me that the connection is bad, but I keep getting comments. Yeah, Russian Medieval Chronicles. Very interesting read. Here's Pascal's thoughts. Some of these thoughts are excellent. Really inspiring, actually. Let's see, what else? This book here I enjoyed reading. Robert O. Paxton, The Anatomy of Fascism. Excellent read. Excellent read. Really does get into the nitty-gritty details of what is fascism. Let's see.